up at about 3:45 and went to the bathroom. Well, I say when I wake up, I say a mantra. When I'm still in bed, and then as I put my feet on the ground, then as I connect to earth, I say another mantra to connect to earth. And then I went to the bathroom and washed my face, brushed my teeth, scraped my tongue, and took a herb, a morning rasina that is advised to take between 3:30 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. because that time is called the Brahma Mahuta, which means the time of totality. And anything you do at that time is more powerful because the atmosphere is more towards transcendence, as it is the air and space element, or which we call the Vata dosha, that is dominant at 3:30 to 5:30. So we have some special elixirs in Ayurveda, which are specifically to be taken at that time because they work on the subtle aspect, the physiology. So it enlivens that. And then I meditated for a bit over time this morning. It was about an hour and 45 minutes with the extended program also. And then I did self-abhyanga, the self-oil massage, and then went to the beach and did 13 Surya Namaskars or sun salutations, and swam in the ocean and ran up back to my place, and then started with patients at 8 a.m. Had a chai that my lovely partner makes the best chai tea.
Your beautiful Saleh. Is she here?
Saleh is in the other room watching. Yeah, and that's my breakfast, and then I was with patients till around 12 and had lunch, and then more patients in the afternoon, and just meditated before this, and here I am.
Beautiful. Thank you. Very inspiring. And maybe we'll come back to why it's important to have a daily routine and simple things that people can do to start slowly implementing and maybe work towards a 3:30 a.m. wake up with rasinas. Okay, so let's kick it off by maybe looking to understand. I know that we have kind of a wide audience at the moment, where some of you are very new to Ayurveda and others might have been deeply exposed to it already, have a deep practice. But perhaps you can talk to us a little bit about what's health? What's the definition of health according to Ayurveda?
So there's a very specific definition. And I will try to keep it brief because you could do a whole lecture on. It's actually, Ayurveda has a very specific, it says what actually is health. People don't know. They think, oh, I'm healthy, but then, you could share with them this definition and they could analyze if they fit into it. So I'll say the shloka because that's how I memorize it, the Vedic hymn, and it's Samadosha, Samadhatu, Sama-agnischa, Malakriya, Prasanna Atma Indriya Manaha, Swastya iti padiyade. So what it means is, the definition of a healthy person is 1, Samadosha. Sama means healthy, or rather balanced. It's a beautiful Sanskrit word, sama. You can feel the balance in that word, sama. So Samadosha means all the biological elements in your body and life are balanced. So that can look like, for example, part of that is when you go to sleep, you basically fall asleep straight away within 1 to 2 minutes. And you don't wake up once in the night, not even to go to the bathroom. And in the morning, when you get up, you basically want to just jump out of bed. You don't have to jump. That's not advised for the heart, but you just get out easily, no snoozing. So that's, for example, when you have Samadosha, when you have these elements balanced. And Samadhatu means balanced tissues. And the tissues of the body are like, lymph, blood, muscle, fat, bone marrow, bone, reproductive tissue, like that. So when they are healthy and they are not degenerating. And that also means, when you're 80 years old, it should be minimal to no degeneration. So for example, when you're 70 or 80 or even 90, you should have full cognitive ability. You should not have dementia or Alzheimer's. These are diseases. I mean, you remember that those are diseases. They're not normal and they're not natural to old age. That's a disease. When you're 90, you should be able to have the same memory than you have right now. Speaking to everyone here, you should have the same memory and cognitive ability. So that is like one factor for longevity, and that Ayurveda is so good at ensuring that if you have the knowledge to prevent. And then Sama Agnishcha means, Sama Agni means digestive, healthy digestion. When you eat, you feel comfortable and no discomfort and no fatigue or like that. Malakriya is healthy elimination of the wastes. So the three main wastes are about having a good bowel motion in the morning and first thing in the morning before any food or coffee. That's one of the indicators of proper health. And also having good appetite. So when it's mealtime, you're actually hungry. You know, some people I see so more and more these days, like they don't actually feel hunger, especially those people with erratic nervous systems and irregular meal times. They're just eating, but they're not actually hungry. You need to feel hunger. You need to feel that fire before you eat. And the third main waste product is sweating. So sweating regularly, another thing which people don't, some people don't do enough. And prasana atma indriya manaha swastya itipadiyade. Prasana means pleasantly blissful. Indriya, senses, sensory organs. Manaha, mind. And atma, soul. So having pleasant sensory perception and sensory experiences, as well as a mind, which is, you know, basically free of stress that sticks, stress that stays with you. You sure can feel stressed, but it doesn't, it's not a burden. And the soul, so connected to the soul. So that's a bit of an extended definition of health. I'll just add before, there's one word of health, if you had to translate it in Ayurveda, the word is swastya. And swastya means, swa means self, sta means established. It means established in self. So health is a state in your self, capital S self, your big self. That is where perfect health is. And it acknowledges that every single person on this call and every single person in the world has that memory and that space within their physiology of health, perfect health, you can say. And it's in the transcendental field of pure absolute consciousness.
Well, I love that definition because it's also highly correlated to why meditation is important. Because we have limited time, I'm just going to dive into perhaps some of the really important topics, and then we can allow for Q&A and see how it flows. Let's talk about immunity. Let's talk about, perhaps you can share a little bit about the relationship between digestion and immunity, and then even just some really simple diet and lifestyle routines or adjustments that people can make, that they walk away from this call feeling like, wow, I can actually be empowered to do a few simple things that will really help put me in a position to feel, confident and vital.
Sure. I think I just want to acknowledge what you said earlier of right now we have a pandemic and we have more than one. We have, more pressing pandemics like cancer. 1 in 2 men will get it, 1 in 3 women will get it. Infertility pandemic, epidemics all around. Diabetes epidemics in so many countries. And now the pandemic of suicide is coming increasingly more since the COVID. So now, and what you said, that we're not, even in the midst of a pandemic, we're getting all this advice, but no health advice, basically. Like you cannot believe that governments are doing so much, but they're not even sharing health advice. So hopefully we can give you some from the Ayurvedic perspective. And it's so beautiful what you said, Jess, about confidence. So having confidence in yourself and in your body, and knowing that you have this thing called an immune system, which has been around for that hundreds of thousands of years, and it is highly adaptable and has immense, magnificent capabilities to be able to ward off pathogens and parasites and viruses and bacteria and any even genetic modifications, whatever it is that enters you. You have this great intelligence. Even the most unusual, unnatural, toxic substance entering your body, is genetically modified and confuses your body, whatever it is, you have this great intelligence to ward that off. So that's, I'd say, the first and foremost thing to immunity is the mind. Not being in a state of fear, because fear is a huge immunosuppressant. If you're in a state of fear, your blood is going to your peripheries because you're ready to like run away or fight. And you don't have your blood in your core, and you don't have your blood in your organs. And that's what's triggering adrenal glands and the immune system. So you're just redirecting blood flow away from your immune system when you're in a state of fear. You're just so on edge. Your blood is on edge and your blood is not in your organs supporting your immune system. So that's, if you're feeling fear for whatever, doesn't have to be from the virus, anything, it's going to be in your immune system. And that, you address with many things, herbs and practices, which we even share in meditation regularly and counseling, correcting your intellect. So, you can really get a greater perspective. Really, fear is nothing but a lack of perspective, lack of a greater perspective. And and the mind, just having a strong mind and trusting yourself and being confident in yourself and not thinking of diseases so much and putting your awareness on your health. This goes, not in pandemic emergency situations, just in general, to really have that confidence and awareness of the health in you, not focusing all the way, always like, what's my next exam, my next test going to say, the results, or, my grandmother and my grandfather and my mother all had diabetes. I better check my blood sugars. Like, that is just inviting those diseases. So not focusing so much on them.
When I spent some time in Panchakarma, which is the Ayurvedic detox in India, and it was so clear with the Raju family, which is who you've studied with. They're world-renowned Ayurvedic practitioners and healers, if you haven't heard. And the one thing that the doctor would do is take our pulse every day and kind of check what imbalances were occurring and what treatments we needed that day and any other herbs that needed to be altered. And every time, and I was always so curious until you were actually in my consults learning at the time. And so I'd always say to Dr. Krishna, what's going on and what can you feel and what's wrong and which part of it's wrong and out of balance. And pretty much the only answer I ever got and continue to get from my consults with both yourself and Dr. Krishna in India are very good. It's good. And so there's this really kind of deep importance in Ayurveda of how the mind influences the body. And, there's a book actually that I referenced today, Quantum Healing by Deepak Chopra. It talks about the power of consciousness to influence, our physiology. So something to really look at if we're feeling that level of anxiety and if we're feeling fearful or we're noticing that our thoughts are really negating or worrisome, then, from what you're saying, it's really time to take action on that because that won't help our immune system.
Right. And that's how people can have spontaneous healings from terminal diagnosis, given stories in quantum healing. So that's one thing. That will include meditation in that. And I will add it maybe perhaps as a second thing, and we'll get to digestion in a bit, but because it's linked to the nervous system and the mind, is the self Abhyanga, the self oil massage, because so many things it does. One, basically, what self Abhyanga is putting oil on your body and giving yourself a massage. And Ayurveda says it should be done every day, just like also part of the Ayurvedic daily routine is snan, which is bathing yourself. So having a shower, however you like to bathe yourself. And not only do you wash your skin, but you put oil on your body and you massage yourself. So that doing so many things. The most profound and immediate thing that you feel is nervous system calmness. Your nervous system is so calm, you're so much stronger. You're, especially for those with anxiety or sleep issues, it completely grounds, very grounding because it's oily and it's heavy. So that's one thing. And also it moves the lymph very well. So the lymph, there's about at least 2 times the amount of lymph fluid than blood. And lymph not only is a detoxifying fluid, it goes around the body, circulates and collects toxins and then takes it to the gastrointestinal tract to eliminate out the body. So it's not only a detox, it's also carries your white blood cells, your natural killer T cells. So it's your immune system. It's like the soldiers circulating around your system. And when you have that circulating efficiently and then nourished with this oil massage, you have greater immunity. And with a virus or any pathogen or bacteria, the first stage of a virus, the first stage of getting a virus is called the energetic periphery, which means something on the outside is trying to get inside. Something on the outside in the environment is trying to get inside to your body. So if we can enhance our periphery, if we can make a shield, what Abhyanga does is it gives you a shield, and shield from viruses, but also shield from other people's stress or from you getting stressed from certain things. Like I regularly prescribe it for people who work with autistic people or who work in hospice care, or recently I've seen quite a few yoga teachers who are working with drug addicts or, strong addictions or violent people, and they're very drained from their work. They feel energetically drained. This Abhyanga, when you're doing it every day before you shower, you have like a shield. You're wearing a shield and you can go out in the day or in your stressed workforce where your boss is bullying you, whatever it is. So Abhyanga is so powerful, so simple. If you don't have time, you just do the short version. To regularly lubricate is so crucial because another epidemic is dryness and dehydration. And you're not going to fix this dehydration problem by drinking more water, because it's not an issue of, the problem is not how much water you're drinking. It's about how do you get water from your gut into your cells, intracellular hydration. And you need to have that ability to pass the water into your cells. And there's so many factors with hydration. It's such a big topic. Water is so complex. We think it's simple, but it's extremely complex. There's many scientific anomalies of water. But yes, so this helps so many things. And dryness, such a big thing. Dryness is related with anxiety, with what I was saying earlier about neurodegeneration. To prevent neurodegeneration, if you do self-Abhyanga, you'll prevent so many things. You'll prevent neurodegeneration, you'll prevent joint issues, you'll help prevent back issues, like sensory organ degeneration, hearing loss, all those things. You'll promote youthfulness, so many. So it's a very powerful practice. And yes.
So what I'll do after we close off is I'll send everyone an email with the link to your website, which is a kind of, you've got a poster, a demonstration of how to do self-Abhyanga. And just for those listening, if you don't, you can buy some of Dylan's herbalized medicated oil, which I highly recommend. And if that's not in your budget currently, then what oil would you recommend for people to start with?
Use sesame oil in winter or coconut oil in summer.
Okay.
And for those who have heard this before about self-Abhyanga and do it a few times a week, whatever, get in the habit of doing it every day. But even if it's for 1 minute, applying the oil, and it doesn't have to be to the whole body. On the poster, we have the short version, which is just applying oil to the vital points of the body. There's a few points where the oil like crown and ears and nose and hands and feet and belly, those activate. Like lubricating is so wonderful, and lubricating helps the microbiome. You know, we have the same amount of microbial species on our skin than in our gut. You've heard of the gut microbiome and how important that is, but the same amount of species live on your skin, and microbes love oil. So hence the microbiome, which is very effective for viruses and pathogens and parasites and bacteria. So another benefit. There's so many.
Great. I'm so glad we covered it.
Yes. And
so tell us more about immunity.
Yeah, so some other things you can do. Well, let's say about digestion, because digestion is very important for immunity, and because it enhances digestion in Ayurveda is called Agni, which means fire. So fire is the factor for transforming and metabolizing. So how do you transform or metabolize anything that comes into you, whether it's, you know, a virus, a flu, or a cold, a bacteria, whatever it is, any sickness, how do you metabolize it? And even stresses, how do you metabolize the stress that you're inflicted with? Like, this is all the fire. So if me and Jess are watching a horror movie, and Jess is so like scared and anxious, and she's having like all these stress chemicals, and cortisol is shooting through the roof. But me, I'm in like bliss, and everyone's loving it, and my chemicals are different. But you know, it's the same movie. We have the same eyes, but the way we metabolize it is different. So we have an Agni in our brain, like in our mind.
Dilly, are you there? He's frozen, and it seems like he's left the building. So much Agni, he just too much fire. Let's just wait for him to come back on. So I'm not sure how I'm going to explain the next piece of that. Let's see. There you are. Okay. We thought you might have just like had so much Agni that, you know, you burnt to ashes.
Yes. So it's so important, the digestive fire. And, you know, when you're digesting well, you're eliminating well, it's hard for things to accumulate, because Ayurveda says the source of basically all disease is low Agni, or low digestive strength. Because two things happen from food or water or anything that goes into your body. One, it turns to a thin fluid and gives you nutrients and feeds those 7 tissues I was speaking about earlier, which determine a healthy person. It maintains them, and it creates longevity in your bodily tissues, which creates longevity in the person. Or it will turn to a thick fluid, which is called ama, and it will clog somewhere in the body. And that's different depending on the person. It might be in your blood, it might be in your joints, it might be in your lungs, it might be in your reproductive tract, it might be in your brain. So that's why you can, like it says, ultimately, if you cannot digest food, that can manifest as any of those diseases. It doesn't have to be related to the gut at all. But it's different for everyone, because everyone has a different makeup and a different weak spot. So digestion is so key. And do you want to speak about ways to optimize digestion? Or?
I think everyone would love to hear that. Absolutely.
Okay. What's your favorite way, Jess?
To optimize digestion?
Yes.
Well, I've got many.
One of your favorite. Another important thing.
I'd say that when I stopped snacking, this idea that you need to be like grazing throughout the day, or that you need breakfast, lunch, dinner, and morning tea, afternoon tea, I can really feel my Agni, my digestive fire, when either I have a very light breakfast or no breakfast, depending, and then like nothing until lunch. And then by the time it's lunchtime, it feels like it's roaring. And it's a newer, notably in the last few years, sensation that you can feel like hungry, like you were describing before.
Great. Yes, so important. Giving your digestion a chance to rest and rekindle, and also learning to utilize your own energy. Because a lot of the time when we're snacking, it's just a quick injection of stimulants, like whether it's organic chocolate or nuts and sultanas every 45 minutes, quick injection of stimulant because you want some energy. You've lost the ability to tap into your own energy, which is fat. So you need to give your body a reason to burn fat for fuel, to burn its fat as energy. And for that, you need to stop eating, even if it's healthy, even if it's organic carrots with organic hummus, like your body's still going to use that as energy, and it's losing its ability to use its own reserves. And when you're using your own energy, it's the main benefits is 1, energy levels, and 2, mood stability. All this is, of course, tied into immune system. The immune system is related with overall health, energy levels, and so that's one. And eating according to the sun is very important. So eating your main meal when the sun's the strongest, because your Agni, your digestive fire, is strongest when the sun is the strongest. So having your main meal at lunchtime, especially having a light dinner, because at nighttime, it's the main time the immune system regenerates. Immune system, hormonal system, liver detoxifies, and we want to be reserving our biological energy to that, not digesting a big meal. So we had like a nice, pad thai dinner, or a nice steak and chips, or whatever it is late at night. Your body's like, why are you giving me this work to do? I'm meant to be detoxifying the liver and secreting melatonin, and now I have to do this. And it just jeopardizes those vital functions. We know sleep's important. It really is. It's one of the 3 pillars of health in Ayurveda. And it jeopardizes those, and it has to deal with this heavy dinner. And then you have poor elimination, poor liver degeneration. More and more, I and many doctors are seeing lots of fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver, all this pressure on the liver. And the reason is, when you see someone and they find they have liver disease, they're confused because they don't drink alcohol or hardly drink any. But the reason is 2. One is the takeaway foods and the restaurant foods, even the high quality, because it's using the rancid oils. And rancid oils, which is basically in all restaurants and cafes, is the single worst thing in the diet, far worse than processed sugar. And we can another time talk about that. But the other reason is the late night foods and the heavy dinner is putting pressure on the liver. And, this generally has an accumulative effect. So again, knowing about prevention and knowing these things, and then, you can prevent fatty liver or, liver cirrhosis or any of these, so many issues. Diabetes is a big one. Hyperacidity.
What could people do at night instead of dinner, or to have a light dinner? What would you suggest that could be beneficial?
Yeah, having a light dinner is one thing. So definitely if you eat meat or fish, just have vegetarian at night. That's a start. Not having meat or fish at night, and having the meat and the fish in the midday, in the lunch. Another thing is some like dishes that will even promote your body to have that profound rejuvenative mechanisms at night. So there's a Ayurvedic dish we call khichdi, which I have a recipe on my website. It's spelled Kitchari. And most patients, I recommend them, if they're eating dinner, to eat that 2 to 3 times a week at least, sometimes 4 if they have some issues, because that supports your body to reset digestion. So having a light khichdi, real khichdi, at dinner, or some vegetable soup, like these are some things you can have. Or hot milk if you want to have something really small.
That's what I wanted you to talk about.
Hot milk is a beautiful dinner. hot milk with some spices. And with the milk, like, yes, milk can be heavy to digest, mucus creating, inflammatory, all the things you hear, milk is so bad. But when you boil it with equal amounts of water, then it lightens it up. It removes that heavy, damp, congesting quality. It makes it easier to digest and probably won't cause any mucus or whatever, acne, whatever reaction you get from it, and it will digest well, and you can gain the beautiful nourishment of milk, which strengthens your immune system. You know, the immune system is called ojas in Ayurveda, and there's few foods and also even few herbs that can directly penetrate and build your ojas, build your immunity. And one of them is milk, and one of them is ghee. The other things, it takes more time to build your immunity, to build your ojas, those foods. And then the herbs, of course. Herbs is another factor. Really should be doing daily. You know, that we have what's called nitya rasayanas, or like daily elixirs. Like I'm sure, you know, you guys are on this call, you buy some good food, you get the good quality organic, you kind of have recognizing that, you know, you deserve the best, you should be eating good quality food, and the vegetables should be the best quality you can get. Also, in Ayurveda, we should do that with the precious plants, like the herbs. We should be, you know, utilizing these daily. And if you can, get access to them, and the right ones, you know, not just getting from what you've heard, like better to someone who's educating about them and saying what's appropriate for them. But I think it's good to have herbs it is good to have herbs daily. And it supports many things. One of the things is the immune system, and so many reasons to take herbs. But the nitya ones, the daily ones, can be taken forever. Formulas is always important, not the single herbs. And we've launched a thing called 111 Health, and that is focusing on this. It's the fact that it's actually the perfect timing to launch it. We didn't plan it, but with the pandemic, because we need more tools in today's age, because we have so many toxins in the environment. Even your organic kale has coal mine dust from the local coal mine to that farm spraying on it, and the glyphosate in the rain, which is the pesticide that's sprayed, particularly in America. I think 70% of the rain in America has glyphosate. That's going on the organic. So it's no question that now we're exposed to more toxins than ever before, and more stress. So we need extra things. And if everyone can take herbs and do samyanga and meditate, like so many things you can do, it's just the more you can implement like that. So that's what we do.
Beautiful. I think we could keep going all night, and maybe we will run a few minutes over 8, but maybe now is a good time to open up to questions and see what people on the call want to hear. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, I'm asking.
Well, one more thing we can add, which is important, and like I don't tell it a lot on lectures because it's a bit more of it seems a bit more, it may be new to people, but for immunity, and particularly for respiratory virus, is important. And that's a practice in Ayurveda called nasya.
Yes.
And maybe do you have any nasya, Jess, near you? You can give a demonstration.
I can give a demonstration, but I don't have it near me. I just did it.
It's basically a process, Ayurveda, like we put oil on our skin every day, we eat oil in our food, it's important to have oil in food. You similarly should be sniffing oil up the nose every day. And when you sniff oil up the nose, first of all, that is the single best thing to prevent neurodegeneration. Again, Alzheimer's, dementia, we are facing absolute epidemics. And it's getting more and more. You're going to see a tsunami of Alzheimer's. People think it's normal for their grandparents to go, or their parents to go into the old age. It's not. And the reason is dry brain. Dry brain, neurotransmitters can't move. So how to lubricate the brain? Sniff oil up your nose every day as a practice. And like that, and you know, so they brought me some. But like that, it prevents so much. And, the nose is so key as filtering what goes into your system. Even microbiome, we hear about the importance of microbiome. It's not just about eating your microbiome, eating good quality organic food and being close to the source and playing in the dirt. You actually breathe in so much microbiome, and your nose turbines will invite, when they're optimized, they will invite the good microbes, the good bugs, who, by the way, do all the hard work for your body and your immune system, because 90% of your body is bugs and 10% is human. So you're mostly microbial. So we need to pay attention to these little guys. Literally, our genetics are very little human. And when you do the Naskar, it prevents the bad guys coming in, and it invites the good ones. So it just regulates that environment. So many benefits, especially respiratory illness. This is the number one thing to prevent a respiratory illness. So you just get a medicated oil. It should be a specific medicated oil. And you just put one drop and another one. And you stick it up like that. Activate your brain, give you energy, make you focus. If you're on the computer, if you're working, if you're studying, good. It's very good. Just gives you energy. Forget your afternoon chocolate, afternoon coffee.
It's amazing for balancing hormones, though, isn't it, as well?
Yes, very good for hormones, because most hormones are secreted by a pituitary gland, so especially thyroid, but also reproductive hormones, adrenal hormones, so many things. A lot of it is secreted from the gland, and it directly does that. Hormones, eyes, ears, all the sensory organs, it prevents those from degenerating and activates. So always better get the Nasika oil. Don't get the special Nasika oil. Get the regular Nasika. Only get special Nasika if you've been prescribed, or if you have done Nasika before. Yeah. Regular Nasika. And always use some people will say you can use sesame oil, but I don't recommend. For the nose and the brain, we're dealing with sensitive tissue. So get the good quality oils.
Right. I'll put a link to that and a number of other things in the post-session email. Okay, so let's open it up.
And do the Nasika a lot, like every couple of hours of the desk, before you do exercise especially. Before you get in the car, just have it on you. The more you do it, the better. They say, while on the topic of Nasika, if you do it 14 times a day, it will reverse graying of hair, because it activates blood supply to the brain and to the head. So for those who are balding prematurely, graying prematurely, it can definitely help.
I'll get that. I'll get Tony onto that then. All right, what questions do we have? If you don't want to ask it like via the video, you can type it.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Hi, Dill.
Hey.
Just wondering, with self-abhyanga, is morning the best or most optimal time to do it, or is it okay to do it at night before bed as well?
The most optimal time is whenever you have time, whenever it suits your regime, before shower. Usually people do in the morning, but even some people who have sleep issues, and it's more advised to do it in the evening, but whatever suits you.
Okay.
And can I ask a question on the back of that, please? Hey, Dill.
Oh, yeah, you're living in Melbourne.
Yeah. Hi, y'all. I'm wondering, is the practice of Abhyanga itself, as in like the actions, more important than the oil itself, or is it more the oil and just lubricating than the action, or equal?
They're both important, but the oil is key. You need to do the oil. That's more important. Oil is penetrating deep into the tissue, especially sesame or coconut oil. It has the ability to penetrate past the layers of skin into the deeper tissues. If you have a good medicated oil, even sesame and coconut has this capability, but it can penetrate to the bone marrow, like it can nourish the bone marrow, and especially the herbalized oils. So it's because the lubrication is important. And if you do without oil, it can irritate the vata, which is that hyperstimulated nervous system, ungrounded nervous system. That's why dry brushing, can also create that. Better do the oil. And the oil is really the grounding and protecting. That's the protection mechanism as well.
And where in
So-
Melbourne can we find some Abhyanga oil?
We send all around the world, but we are sold out. So you can look on my website under on the Vital Veda website on Friends of Vital Veda. There's practitioners that we recommend around, and then we've got a few in Melbourne. They should have.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful. What else would you guys like to know?
Just quickly, did you say you have to do that before shower or after?
Yeah.
Before. Okay.
Because the oil's lipophilic, so it pulls toxins out, and then you wash it off. So
Okay.
you don't want to let it reabsorb. Just like oil pulling, you've heard in the mouth, it's lipophilic, pulling toxins out. Same with the nose, pulling toxins out of the brain. So some people sneeze after they're not doing the nose drops. It's a good sign. It's like cleansing. So yeah, wash it. And then if you want to moisturize that day, you can put on as much as you want. But the first time you apply oil to your body, you should wash it off after.
Thank you.
And sleep, of course, is a very important thing for immunity. If you're not getting your sleep right, there's quite a lot of things you can do. Herbs, hot milk before bed, the massage, the timing of sleeping, all that will help.
Yeah, tell us the timing, because I think that's something that's really easy to fix, and most people are in that sort of state of looking at so many screens, so wired, and then going to bed way after 10 and the whole kind of cycle.
Yeah, so it's not about how many hours you sleep, it's about when you sleep. Between 10 and 2 is the crucial time. That's what we call the pitta time, or like the fire time. Most things are happening, like liver detoxification, liver regeneration, absorption of micronutrients. Melatonin is maximized between 10 and 2. This was all mentioned in the Circadian Medicine 2017 Nobel Prize. And it's literally Ayurveda 101, because it had the same time limits. It was 10 till 2 is maximum melatonin. This is pitta time, where pitta is secreting and transforming hormones. So being asleep before, it's not about how many hours you sleep, it's about when you sleep. Between 10 and 2 is the crucial time when the body's going to be regenerating and doing all these vital mechanisms. And the ways to enhance it is to wind down before, because melatonin, which is like, I call it the king of hormones, because it regulates all our hormones, and it's such a powerful antioxidant for the brain. It's so important for immunity, for anti-cancer hormone. And there's 2 prerequisites for it. One, you need to have some, you can say, warmness to darkness before you sleep for 4 hours. So if you're watching, for example, a movie in your TV in your bedroom till 10 o'clock, and then you shut off and go to sleep, it'll still take 4 hours for you to have proper melatonin secretion, because you had a blue light in your face, which tells your brain it's midday. And then this is photoendocrinology. What's the effect of light on your hormones? Because so many of them is processed through your retina. So if you just dial down the light temperature, so it's not the temperature of a midday sun, like why I'm wearing these glasses, because everything looks more warm, so that when I go to sleep, I can get melatonin quicker. So that's one thing. And also another prerequisite for melatonin is in the day to have daylight. It gives certain amino acids that are precursors for melatonin. So it's simple. It's like, we have light in the day and darkness or very warm at night. So we haven't been having these these bright lights only for 150 years or whenever the light bulb was involved. Before it was fire temperature, which is light candle temperature, 1900 Kelvin light temperature, not a 7000 Kelvin midday sun temperature, which is common lights. So if you make it the lower temperature, you get better melatonin and sleep. People who wear these for 2 hours before sleep can sleep. People who usually have sleep issues, it helps just that.
So perhaps we have time for one more question.
I'll jump in.
Great. Sammy.
What's the view on the consumption of meat and particular diets?
Meat in Ayurveda is medicine. It's more used as food as medicine. So it's not so much a daily food. Some people it can be for, but it's more medicine. So again, it says eat meat. Meat is considered a heavy food. So if you have poor digestion or weak digestion, it's not so good. It's also a very fiery food. So this is when you learn the principles of Ayurvedic nutrition, you learn how to see any food and mix it with or integrate it with any physiology or any person, because the whole Ayurveda is based on 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, earth, which is made into 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, but we won't even go there. The whole universe, every person, every plant, every food, every animal is made up of these 5 elements, every object. And this is like the root of life. We can get into, meat's going to activate the mTOR pathway, which increases protein, which in cancer, it's going to, increase because that's an anabolic pathway, which builds tissue. But rather than going specific, you can go to the basis of the physiology, which is the 5 elements. And you say, okay, so meat is heavy, it's earth, and it's fire. So if you see someone who's a bit heavy, whether it's overweight, fat, or too much muscle, or heavy mind, feeling depressed and feeling low, but it's also fiery. So if someone has, aggression and irritability, or very emotional, frustrated, the meat can also increase that. Or if they have hyperacidity, digestive issues. So these are kind of like, this is why, we at Vital Veda, we teach this, because instead of remembering what's meat good for, what's turmeric good for, what's, millet good for, if you can recognize the elements in each food, you can then apply that to when you have a cold, when there's a respiratory virus going around, when your child gets eczema, like whatever it is, you utilize these principles. So, side note, but more specifically on meat, it's medicine, and have it at midday. Reduce it in general. I think I see a lot of people, and Ayurveda supports a vegetarian diet. Let's put it that way. It's much easier to digest. It promotes better state of mind. It's more for meat as medicine, but I see a lot of people eating meat because they think they need they don't know how to get protein in other ways. They find it tricky to be on a vegetarian diet, for example, because they think they don't know how to consume protein. And once you understand that meat, a complete protein, means it has all 9 essential amino acids, and you can only really get that with meat and dairy. It's hard to get it with plant-based foods. But as soon as you mix a grain and a legume, you combine them together and you have all 9 essential amino acids. You have a complete protein. That's why rice and beans have been eaten for millennia. It's been eaten for millennia. And then in the Middle East, wheat and chickpeas, like it's been eaten for so long. So it's basically not hard to get a complete protein source with a bit of knowledge. And one thing I'll add with the meat is get high quality meat. Get the wild meat if possible. Always use the spices with meat, especially turmeric, definitely, because meat, even organic, is it's got a lot of things which are undesirable. Antibiotics, carcinogens, and turmeric is the most powerful spice. You should be using turmeric every day anyway. And ginger also with the meat, and a bit of black pepper. And goat is the best meat to eat, according to Ayurveda.
This sounds like you've got some homework, Sammy. All right. So actually, I don't know if you didn't mention it, but Dylan has a online Ayurvedic nutrition course that's available, and he's generously given us a 10% discount. So if I'll put this in the email, but if you're interested in learning more from Dylan, then that would be a great way to start. I know, Katie, you just asked for book recommendations. Perhaps the course would be an amazing place to start. And on top of that, I will share probably Perfect Health by Deepak Chopra is a very easy introduction to Ayurveda. Dils, do you have another book that would be an easy intro aside your course? Which
That's the best, but just ignore the dosha quiz. Because people get caught up of these doshas, these body types. And I've done a video on the Vital Veda Facebook page saying why you don't need to know your dosha. And you can watch that. But that's what the nutrition course, what you just asked, Sammy, is instead of memorizing how can you, it's all about that. Because Ayurveda, like Australia, we have different vegetables, India has different things. You come across something, how can you recognize in any moment how to apply it? So yeah.
Okay, so if we were to summarize this evening, I'm going to give it a shot. For enhancing our immunity, we first and foremost need to take care of our state of mind, and there are many ways in which we can do that. One thing that didn't come up is actually just being in nature whenever we can, sitting in the sun, visiting trees, feet on the ground.
I mean, I'll say it just in one line. The sun is so important. Vitamin D is a hormone. It's so powerful. You look at every disease, they'll have studies linking increase of vitamin D to helping that disease. Like it's so crucial. It's in every cell of your body. There's not many things. Thyroid and vitamin D, the only two things that, penetrate every cell. So right now, and with this COVID, we know it's very hard to survive outside the virus. So get outside, get in nature, and get in the sun.
Nice. Yes. So looking after our mental state, getting outside, starting to, add some tweaks in our digestion by not snacking as much, perhaps adding ghee and spices to our food, eating at the right time when the sun is at its peak. So having our biggest meal at midday, and lessening the heavier foods at night, introducing tonics and things such as hot milk elixirs and even just, hot milk, warmed up with some yummy spices. I think you have a recipe for that on your website as well. Enjoyment. I know Ayurveda is so much about enjoyment. And I think that's another piece that we can perhaps leave you with is what brings you joy in life, and how can we keep attending to that, because that is also going to put our mind to rest, but our body in that state and stay in play state in which we will be so much more ready to fight any kind of virus, if that were to be the case. And also because life is for joy and for living. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can, do all the right things to support the body, go to bed on time. As soon as we're done on the screen, stop your screen time, have a digital sunset, and pick a time for you that you want to stop looking at screens. Maybe you want to invest in the blue box glasses. I'll also send you the link for that. But if not, Dil, you have on your website under Friends of Vital Veda, Dylan's got an amazing list of resources, and he also has discounts on a lot of those resources. So I highly recommend looking at that page, and even just investing on your computer. There's an app called Iris. I think that's the one that you recommend. And you can just kind of start taking that blue light, the harshness of it out towards, especially towards the end of the night, so that when we're doing things like this, it's not so intense for all of us. And I think that's probably it. And we'll send you a bunch of links to all the things that we've talked about. And it was such a joy. Thank you so much, Dylan, for joining us. Your wisdom is profound, and it's just been amazing to hear from you and to have you as part of our community and sharing this wisdom at such an important time.
Thank you, Jess, and thank you to each and every one of you for coming and for being open to that you actually have an immune system and you are capable, and because your body is like so magnificent. It's far more magnificent than any scientist can can even comprehend. So keep exploring that and experiencing that and enjoying it.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Dills. And if you like this chat, we're going to start introducing wisdom chats over the next few weeks and months, and more topics will become available. So keep a lookout for those, and so nice to connect with all of you. Have a beautiful night. Day, Day. Much love, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
So good to see you, Cody.
I know. Thank you so much.